אל יוסף, ותאמר שכבה עמי. Today we're going straight into business. Straight into business. So after whatever happened, and she looked up, ותישא אשת, the wife of Potiphar, looked her eyes at Yosef, and she said to him, sleep with me now. Pasuk says, וימאן, and he refused. ויאמר אל אשת אדוניו, and he says to the wife of his master, הן אדוני לא ידע אותי, מה בבית וכל אשר לא נתן בידי. Everything that he has, he doesn't know what's going on. Everything that he has, he give in my hand. It's kind of weird what he's telling her. אינו גדול בבית הזה ממני, there's nobody greater in this house than me. ולא חשך ממני מאומה, כי אם אותך באשר את אשתו. Everything I wanted, whatever I wanted, I can have. The only thing I couldn't have is you, because you are his wife. ואיך אעשה הרעה הגדולה הזאת? I'm going to do such a horrible thing, וחטאתי להשם, and I would sin to God. What am I saying to God? How is this? What's going on here? So Yosef is refusing the temptation efforts of the wife of Potiphar. And he's even explaining to her the reason for that refusal. It says, "Hen Adoni lo yada iti ma b'bayit v'chol asher lo natan b'yadi." Whatever he has, he let me run, and he trusts me blindly. And there's nobody greater in the house than many. And the only thing that he told me that I know not to touch, and it's not available to me, is you, because you are his wife. So Yosef says that, in other words, with me willing to be seduced by you is a tremendous sin, and it's a tremendous sin to God. So now, very interesting, the Shem Mishmuel says that when we read this pasuk appropriately in Ta'amei HaMikra with the proper trump, there is a significant difference on stop and pause and separation between the words Vayema'en and to the explanation of Yosef. Because the Teva Vayema'en, in other words, he refused, has two te'amim. There is shalshelet and there is pasik. Shalshelet always means something that it's long is happening or delay, and then pasik, there is a separation. And we emphasize as pasik. And the reason for that is very, very clear and very noticeable, as the Shem Mishmuel says. By the way, the Shem Mishmuel was the second Admor in Chassidut Chesnachov, or Stoshachovs, and he was the son of the Avnei Nezer and the grandson of the Kotzkara. If you see his picture, his photograph, the guy it's amazing. You see mamash what we call hadrat panim. The guy it's just amazing. Just look at him. And he says Vayemaen, Vayomer Eleshet Adonav, etc., etc., etc. So therefore we said Vayemaen is in Shalshet with pasik in order to separate from the word Vayomer Eleshet Adonav to show us Shemien, and he refused. And I'm quoting, Lo mitzad ta'anot, not because of claims or anything like this. Ela shemien bipshitut. Simple. He said, no. He didn't say no because this, no because that, no, it's not nice, what would the people would say, what if somebody comes in, what if somebody doesn't come in? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What is this barrel strength?
2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen.
Okay, I like that. Very wet. I like wet water. So it says, and what he's saying, V'hashi itzia lefanea ta'anot, and the thing that later on he gave her explanation, לא היה צריך זה אלא להרגיעה. He just wanted to calm it down. But when she told him, come sleep with me, he said to her, as we say in Hebrew, chad v'chalak, straightforward, no. And let me tell you why no. That's what it said, basically what it did. And it says that, and of course, what it means from the Shem Shmuel, that the explanation later on, the etc., is really to calm her down. Yosef did not say no because it was something that was reasonable or something, some explanation that he had, but because it was clear to him that this is something bad that he shouldn't do, and there was no questions about it. And he writes the following: "This is limud gadol." It's something great that we should learn for generation. In other words, what Yosef teaching us here is a great lesson that we should learn also. And the Shem Shmuel says like this: "V'zeu limud gadol lechol ish ve'ish." For any person, be'egia shum ma'aseh, when you're coming across an action, asher bilti ra'ui tachat yadav, it is inappropriate for you, or it's not fit for you to do. Usually what people do, they apply logic to it. I can't do this because of this, I can't do it because of that, I don't want to do it because, and so on and so forth, no reason. And he says, "She'asechel einenu ba'ir," the mind is not always clear, umeir tamid leneged einav, and it's not always, shining bright in front of you to show you where to go. And he says, "Ve'ashochad ya'aver einecha chabim," and bribery can even blind the wise men. He says, "Ve'en lecha shochad gadol mi yetzer hara," you don't have greater bribery than yetzer hara, shu machalik hadavar be'einav ve'oseh me'avera mitzvah. There's no greater deceiver than what we call the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. In other words, the reasoning, when we start reasoning why we do so, to a point that even we will take an Avera, a sin, and we'll make it into a mitzvah. Tishma, if I say yes to her, maybe it'll be a great Kiddush Hashem. And somebody will say, oh yeah, how? Well, on such a wonderful thing, then I have hashpa'ah for her, I have influence on her, and she'll be able to convert and to become a Jew, and the whole entire thing, and then Shem Hashem will be praised. Hallelujah, wonderful, So, how do you do this? Avera, you can't do that. But that's what we do. We justify why we do certain things that we know that they are bad, and sometimes we know that's bad. And you say, well, I know it's bad, but, it's a mitzvah to do it. Because if I won't do this, I'll do something worse. So therefore, this little avera is a gader for me, is a fence for me not to do something. It's a mitzvah also. Right? Shomrim v'shotrim ta'aseh lecha. I'm fulfilling a mitzvah midoraita by doing an avera. That's what we do many times. Rabbi, is that okay to steal for Torah? No, it's not okay to steal for Torah. Rabbi, can I drive to shul on Shabbat? No, you can't. Rabbi, this guy's going to build me a big shul with stones from under the kotel, they bring it. But the person eats nevelot v'trefot. Is that okay? Can I do that? It's a mitzvah, shul. No, you can't do that. And so on and so forth. So the reasoning that we engage ourselves with is very bad. And it says in the Gemara in Masechet Chulin in Daf Tzaddik Aleph Amud Aleph, it says, "Ketalmid chacham nidme lo." All of a sudden you think you're a talmid chacham. V'arei beYosef yira'ata beitzolin shela. She looked in her fortune telling, she opened a couple of fortune cookies, and she saw that all of a sudden, Yosef, she should have some kids for her. So Yosef said, well, probably Yosef saw it also. And the Yetzer Hara for sure showed him. He said, listen, something good is going to come out of this. You're going to have children from this woman. And he says, homie, don't do that. I don't do this thing. And the Yetzer Hara usually comes to you with with intellectual reasoning, and it makes sense to do so. Like, something stupid like, let's defund the police. Let's not have a police force. I mean, they're brutal, so let's not have police. In other words, just let everybody around, I mean, if you're going to allow me to be like in the Wild West, not a problem. I'm okay with defunding the police. Have one sheriff in every town, and that's it. Just let everybody carry guns, what can I tell you? But, I mean, we're going to come up with reasons, and sometimes you say, Ribono shel olam, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And it says, Mi'un haya mi'etzem nafsho. So the Shem Shmuel is able to be mechalek, to distinguish. He says, they say no, I don't do that. That's come from the nefesh, from the side inside of him that it was absolutely pure. Bli shum ta'anot, ubli shum itchamkmut. In other words, not trying to find loopholes, why I can't do that, why I cannot do this, and so, this speaks to me so much, you have no idea. I mean, many times I hear people ask me questions, and they know, that it's not allowed or something like this, and still, but Rabbi, maybe the answer is no. There's no loopholes. I'm telling you the truth. Do you want to hear what you want to hear, or you want to hear what you really need to do? Two different things. Shem Shmuel says it comes from two different places. It says if Yosef would have weighted the answer, the response to her from a logical point of view, so for sure, and believe me, Yosef was a very smart guy. For sure, he would have come up with some very good reasons why he should say yes to the wife of Potiphar. And I'm sure that not only he would find good reasons, but even could have explained to himself not only why is it good, why is it also a mitzvah gdolah that he should do what he is doing. But the Shem Shmuel is offering also something completely different and very unique. It says, it is quite possible to maybe take Devar Avera and turn it into Devar Mitzvah. So at the beginning of Perek Lametet on Rashi, he says that the reason between Maaseh Yehuda, what Yehuda did with Tamar, to Maaseh Yosef, there is a reason one came next to another. It says, Lomar lecha ma zu l'shem shamayim, av zu l'shem shamayim. This could be l'shem shamayim, and I can do this l'shem shamayim. Shera'ata, she saw, the wife of Potiphar, saw in her astrology that one day children from her side will come to this world from the side of Yosef as well. They're going to share children. But she didn't know if it was from her or from her daughter. And the kavanah of Eshet Potiphar, according to these things, was really, quote unquote, L'shem Shamayim. She saw that one day they're going to be holy people that will come from her side as a part of Am Kadosh. And based on what she saw, she was right. However, she was a little bit mistaken. Because at the end, yes, Yosef had children, but from the daughter Osnat, from her daughter, not from her. And therefore, his children are the grandchildren of Eshet Potiphar. Oops, a small mistake, small mistake, but nevertheless, she was mechaven l'shem shamayim. The Shem Shmuel says, Mistama, most likely, Yosef knew this astrology as well. He was aware of that. He was aware of what she saw. But he was weighing things on a different scale. He was using different apparatuses to measure and to evaluate, a different scheme to evaluate what was going on here. And he says the following: if he was really doing so logically, so he would say probably it's a mitzvah, l'shem shamayim is a mitzvah, it's not a problem, and he would say yes, and so on and so forth. And maybe he would, would think about it carefully. He would even find somebody like a great helper, an assistant, or a kickstand to help him. And it's no other than Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara would have helped him. Listen, I see you going in that direction. Let me just help you out. Let me give you a little booster to help you out. And that was the Yetzer Hara. But on the so-called the person, it says in Gemara in Masechet Cholin Tzadik Aleph Aleph about the person that fought with Yaakov at night, the angel or the person that fought with Yaakov at night. It says, Ketalmid Chacham nidmelo. It seems to him like a Talmid Chacham. The Shem Mishmuel says that this is a remez, this is a hint to the Yetzer Hara. That seems to the person who's about to do the sin, like a Talmid Chacham. It says, Torah zeh, ani yachol lagid lecha lama. It's okay. I'm doing the right thing. And he says further, and therefore this is the way we learn from here that this is a remez, this is a hint to the Yetzer Hara that seems to like to him like he's doing the right thing. Umirov pilpulim v'ta'anot, and because he was going back and forward, trying to come up with reasons and to justify those things, to this way or the other way, this is how the Yetzer Hara takes you out. Maybe it's not such a big thing. Maybe there's a way to be makil. Maybe there's a way to be more lenient about it. Maybe this is not lechatchila, not to begin with, and so on. The maybe, then the maybe, and the maybe, and the maybe, and then we go fall down into the pit, into the belly of the beast, as they say. But that's what we do all the time. We know what is right. We know what is wrong. Why is it that we always fail, even though we do know? The reason is very simple. That's the reason. That's the reason. Yosef did not fall in the trap of the Yetzer Hara because he says, no, bichamat atzmo, from his nefesh, from his inside, without any words, without any reasoning, without any, and so on and so forth. And according to the Shem Shmuel, this quality was inherited to Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael. And that's what helped Am Yisrael in the battle against the Greeks or the Assyrians, and that what we could be helped with if we're going to face the battle that we're facing here in terms of complete assimilation and erasal of all Jewish identity. That's how we're coming to the fight with. For example, why don't you have Baruch Hashem, most of you, if not all of you, have a beard. But why don't you have a beard? Well, Rabbi, Chas v'shalom, I'm going to do something bad. It's going to be Chilul Hashem. So don't do something bad. Do everything good. Or the kippah. Or this. I don't want to stick out so much. Don't worry. You're so ugly. Even if you're going to go, completely see-through, people are going to notice you. Don't worry about it. Just do what you need to do. Dress up nice, clean, and so on and so forth. You don't have to wear all black and white. But, dress up like a person. And that's what it is. Now, this is a tool that Yosef is giving us. And the reason, is because you would say that the Greeks, in a way, also had a little bit of spirituality or whatever in them, because otherwise, what's the advantage of one over the other? However, there is an advantage. There is a difference between one and the other. And we have to say that Yosef taught this midah to Klal Yisrael, as we said beforehand. And that's why in the beginning they were called Bnei Yosef. The beginning they were called Bnei Yosef. And as much as a father gives his DNA, component to his children, and if, so is in midot, and so on and so forth, so is he here also spiritually. There's a way to inherit this as well. And it says, Am Yisrael was mo'esh begashmiyut. They didn't want gashmiyut. The Greeks were philosophers, and they also had enough with gashmiyut, with materialistic things, because the whole purpose of life and the whole thing, and and they also seek some spirituality. However, according to this, right? I mean, we all know the whole reason of men to live and why we are alive and so on and so forth, right? However, after all this investigation and deliberation and arguments and philosophical arguments between the Greeks and so on and so forth, they were not left with something pure. They're still left with raw material that is not refined. And you know that, for example, they did not help them and the rest of the nation of the people to become more humane. They would torture people, they would kill people, they would crucify people, they would burn them, they would rape them. So all this philosophy was really in vain. I mean, ultimately did not change you to become a better person. You stayed the same beast that you were beforehand. And that's the difference here. Aval Israel, he says, Hem mitzad atzmam moasim bara. By themselves, it's something unnatural for a Jew to do such things. And one of the things we know, the Gemara says to us, if you want to know the signs of so-called a real Jew, is they're baishanim, they're humble, they're modest, and they're rachmanim. They have mercy, they feel mercy for people, they feel the pain of other people. With the nation, it's not like that. I mean, look, do I need to tell you? Is there, whatever is happening here, is there, I mean, listen, hold on. Let me just hold my horses here. Let me just tell you this. I lived with people, I grew up with people who were in Auschwitz-Birkenau, that were in Bergen-Belsen, that was in all this like hell on earth, not on wheels, on earth. And they told him when they left the camps, they could have done whatever they wanted to the Nazis there. They didn't do anything to them. And not because of the Stockholm Syndrome. Because a Jew simply does not do those things. In Gaza, when they have a suicide bomber that blows up children and women and everybody, they go to the streets and they give you candy. That's a sign that we have nothing to do with them. Different entities. I think the Jews are the only people in the world that somebody sends rockets at them and they says, please, to the soil, please don't kill anybody, just shoot up in the air. Well, that's how we are. Because we are mo'es bera, we don't want the bad. Anything, killing people is bad. And therefore the Shem Shmuel says, Al kocham gadol mikoch ha'yevanim. And therefore, because they are mo'es, they don't want the bad, therefore they're able to overcome the Greeks, which of course the Greeks were a tremendous empire. How they were able to do so? By this, by spirituality. As Yosef says, Vekama alumati vegam nitzava. I was able to stand also, even after the big tornado, my stalks stand up like this and I'm still standing here still. So regardless of what's going on, and that's one of the reasons why the Jews live for so long. Because we are not pursuing to destroy and to kill and to abolish and to have all these things. That's not the Jewish way to do so. And again, the Greeks were philosophers and they didn't want to, right, and so on and so forth, but everything was only on the intellect, and that's something that is so esoteric, so up in the air, there's no substance, there's no kiyum for that. And if you look at their bad actions and so on and so forth, you would see that after all this investigation, it didn't change them whatsoever, they still stay tinted and dirty. However, Israel mitzad atzmam don't want to do it. You don't need to tell a Jew not to kill. You don't need to tell a Jew not to help the poor. The Jews do it themselves. They do it for everybody. They do it for them to the enemies. I don't think if you're going to take the situation between the Israelis and the rest of the nations around that are in war with them, you don't see such act of kindness or calculation. Where we're going to attack and where we're not going to attack. For crying out loud, the jump government because some falangas in Lebanon killed one another. It's crazy how good the Jews are, and that's mitzad atzmo. And Parashat Vayeshev comes exactly before Chanukah, to give us a hint, to tell us on the spiritual essence of Hanukkah itself, especially when things look dark. And right now, this is a dark time of the year, probably the darkest time of the year. When there's something for the things look dark, and this is the time to work. This is the time to roll your sleeve, to do something, to do what we call mesirut nefesh, to really be dedicated, to be committed, to give your soul over for a purpose, for something great. And then when you do so, you're going to have a great light. And the light that light is the light that shines in Hanukkah, inside out, from our houses out to the streets. And there's a great remiss for that as well. When we light that candle that we are talking about is the great light of the Tikkun. As much as we say that the lights of the so-called HaKadosh Baruch Hu, surround himself, is the light that comes from the initial light that came. That is the light of Hanukkah that comes in the darkness. The light that every Jew can bring out, even the simples of all Jews, the most Pashut Yid in all Yidim, the one who likes the Hanukkah, that light is what we call Ha'or Ganuz. That's the hidden light that was hidden, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created for the righteous people and then kept in La'atid Lavo. We get a small portion that by lighting the Hanukkah candle. That's why it's important to light the candles and do Pirsumei Nisa, so other people will get contagious in this light and understand that even in the darkness, it only needs one person to bring the light out to everybody else, and therefore each and every one of us can do so. We can change. That's the part of what we call the Tikkun Olam. And they said on the Yevanim sheratzu la'achshich et einayim shel Yisrael min haTorah. The Greeks wanted to cause darkness, to separate between the Jews and the Torah. And the Zohar says, Amar Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu ve'haTorah achadem. Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah and Am Yisrael is one entity. The Greeks wanted to separate this connection, and by doing so caused the loss of what we call the Jewish soul. The Yiddish Neshama. I remember when I was a kid, even though I hated that song, it was very special. People, even though it was Sephardim, they liked this song, the Yiddish Mama, Jewish mother, right? And do a search, the Yiddish Mama. It's a very famous Ashkenazi song in Yiddish, but it's not just a song about Jewish mothers, but also about the Jewish soul and how caring it and so on and so on. You should listen to it and have it translated somehow. And the Greeks want to do that. And the war was a war of cultures, a spiritual war of cultures between our point of view and their point of view. And they tried to pull Am Yisrael towards that externalism. And sometimes they succeed. And when they succeed, that means that we fail. And that's something that you should be aware from that. And they try to, if you look at the word Yavan, Yud, Vav, Nun, it's also the words Noi. Everything is external, beauty, external. It's all referring to external beauty. And that refers to so therefore the Tarbut Yavan refers to all external beauty, not the enhancements of internal beauty. The whole culture in which we all obsessed with today, which started with MTV and the video culture and the clips in the 80s. People would sit down and just watch, bands singing, so on and so forth. That all is a part of, or a result of the Greek culture of self-admiration and so on and so forth. And the whole concept that today we have, even the selfie, it's also like this. I look ready to do selfies. I know a person, every picture on their Facebook, not Facebook, how do you call this thing? Instagram. Everyone is the same thing. All that, it's crazy. It's absolutely narcissism. And that comes from Greece. Self-immersed with himself, with yourself, you're completely self-centered, egocentric. That's not the Jewish way to do things. And many Jews adopted this lifestyle, this what we call global lifestyle, the global village. Let that global village be destroyed and build it back together. It's a bad idea. By the way, along the side, they erase also your identity completely, not only as a culture, but also as a human being by globalization. It's a horrible thing. So, regardless of the fact that we still had Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem and so on and so forth, because of adapting that culture and admiring that culture to no end and abounding your values and your identity, there was a great darkness that came upon Am Yisrael, and as a result of that, the temple was destroyed. We took the temple and we desecrated it to the point that God says, hey, I'm taking it away from you. I cannot have this happen. I'm taking it away from you. You messed it up. And why? And there's something that it's inherently embedded in us is we don't take pride in the fact that we are Jews and the Masorah, the tradition, and who are our forefathers and the contributions of Jews to the world. We don't celebrate it. We don't say anything about it. And we go along with the fact that we were told that the Jews are ugly people with big noses and so on. It's like so anti-Semitic. You're never going to, if you talk about Jews, even among Jews themselves, you're not going to hear them saying, oh, yeah, Jews are good-looking people. So, oh, they're smart, they're this, they're savvy. You're never going to say good-looking. Say black is beautiful. There. Jews ugly. And we okay with that. And we said, yeah, amen to that. We fell victim and we adopted and listen, as much as Hollywood or Hollyweird distorted the image of the Native American, the black, the Indians in the United States to something that it was comfortable for them to do. By the way, do you ever see, an ugly, Native American man marrying a white woman? Oh, God forbid, that would never happen. Or actually doing Potiphar's things with a white woman? Oh, that would not happen. Always little Pocahontas is going with John Smith. How you doing there, Pocahontas? Yeah? Do you know what I'm saying? It's always like that. So the stigmatism that we put, even the beat that we always think is the Indian beat, dum 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 dum. The Indians don't go like this. That's from the Westerns, from Hollywood. If you ask a Native American how the drum goes, he will tell you it imitates the heart, the beat of the heart. The heart doesn't go like this, boom boom. You're gonna have a heart attack if you do it like this. And we're okay with that. Whether it's Seinfeld and Schmeinfeld and all these things, it's all the same. We are playing the stigma of Jews, weasels and so on, and it's not true. It's so far from the truth. And I heard some stupid, conservative, like a right-wing person, in TV. No, the world is, the Jews are controlling the thing, this and that. I'm sorry, Nancy Pelosi, the last time I checked, is not Jewish. That's kind of Italian to me, whatever, right? It's a Jewish conspiracy. Why won't you say about what the Jews do? And we're okay with that. And we say, yeah, you're right. And we never resist that. That's why I told you yesterday, you have to start to learn to stand up for what you know is right and stop being quiet about everything. That's it. I mean, learn from the black people. They open up the mouth, they get whatever they want. Why wouldn't you do it? What, you got land to get slapped in the back of your head like a little moron, like bam, like you say, okay, It's enough. And this would start to stand up when you feel that you have something to stand up for. And that's your culture. Judaism had contributed to the world more than any other culture contributed in terms of morals. Not only in terms of health, but in terms of morals, more than anybody else. And if you don't know for sure, maybe you should start reading on a regular basis the American Constitution. You'll see how much Jewish is the American Constitution. And everybody's, oh, Constitution, read this. It's like everything straight from Chazal. And in that reality, and that's exactly what I'm to tell you now. It's enough. Enough is enough. As Augustus McRae said, enough is enough. Anybody knows who Augustus McRae is? Yeah, you know, right? When did he say that?
That
No, you don't remember. Okay. You have to do Chazara. So in that reality, all of a sudden, a bunch of people, they had enough. And there was Matityahu and his sons, and they went for a war against the biggest empire of the time. They went to a guerrilla war against that empire of the time, which were the Assyrians, the Greeks, the Assyrians. And in regular basis, you can't really explain how they actually won that battle. And really, I mean, we're talking about what? 5 Kohanim and their old father that they came to, create such a massive force to beat them. I mean, it's unbelievable what they did. And they all died. They all died, but nevertheless they did so. And there's only one way to do it in terms of the itorerut, the awakening, the internal awakening, only if you have mesirut nefesh. You're willing to basically, mesirut nefesh, we say the word, the concept mesirut nefesh is a parallel to, let's say, to complete dedication and so on and so forth. But mesirut nefesh is to hand over your soul. I mean, to such an extent that you don't think about yourself. In a way, to yourself, you're dead. It's only the cause exists. The mission exists. You are not important, only the mission. That's called mesirut nefesh, a tremendous dedication to execute the mission. That's only how you fix things. And the war that we had between the Jews and the Greeks was really a war between Kedusha and Tumah, between holiness and unholy, between pure and impure, between Kodesh and Chol. And again, if we talk about Rashi, then we said the mashal of Rashi, when he brings over there, it says talking about Margalit, a fine stone, a jewel that fell into the sand. So a person is feeling the sand, is assorting the sand, and he takes a sift and he's sifting it through until he finds the gem that he has in it, and then he throws everything out and he takes the gem and he walks away. Rashi hands us as something very important to our avodah, to the way we should worship and we should handle our Jewish life. It says, all those alufei edom, alufei this, alufei that, they mention one after the other. King after king after king after king after king. And they're like sand. Aluf Esa, Aluf Adom, Aluf Moaz, Aluf Elifaz, Aluf, it doesn't tell us anything about them. The same thing all the way to Noach. It says there, Noach, Terach, Abraham. All of a sudden, boom, throw everything out. Don't tell me a little bit what happened with Noach, how he ended up his life. Did he go to, did he go to Boca? Did he go to a nursing home? Did he get COVID? Nothing. Abraham Avinu, erase everything out, and that's gone. So the same thing is here. Yosef is like that jewel, and the Torah is really giving us a great detail on everything that it does. And what the remez for that, the hint for that, is to concentrate on the Kedusha. Don't concentrate on the Tumah. The Kedusha, the holiness, is like a jewel, like a diamond, like a giant sapphire. That's the Kedusha. So you want to know how to win that, you know how to do so, concentrate on what is good. Concentrate on what is holy. Something that is form. If you look, for example, what's the symbolism of a diamond? I mean, the biggest diamond, the most expensive diamond is like, that it's all one unit. There's no cracks in it, there's no blemishes, there's no imperfections, there's no feathers, there's no piquets inside, it's one clear thing. That's how Kedusha is. The Kedusha is like a deep, flawless diamond. Pure. Colorless, without any imperfection. Clean. That's how holiness is. That's how your holiness, that's your Avodat Hashem, that's what you should strive for. It's forming. The Yetzer Hara, or the Sitra Achara, is like sand. It's spread all over, it attaches, by the way, if you ever go, let's say you do camping on the sand, you find places that you didn't know exist, you're going to find sand there. I'm telling you, it's like parts of your body you didn't know exist, you're going to find sand there. I was like, oh, wait, I've got some sand there, And that's exactly how the Yetzer Hara is. It's all separate, it's all individual, but, it's sand. And every particle of it is a particle for itself, and together it becomes the Yetzer Hara. But what do you do with this? You throw it out. You take the jewel. That's what Rashi says. So when you go to the Sitra Achara, you are not able to develop a punch through and through. Your koach, your ability is spread, is scattered. It will be like you will try to, let's say, the difference will be, let's say, between taking a 50 cal, gun and shooting it at the cinder block, or shooting the same cinder block with birdshot. Not even a slug, or birdshot. You're not going to do anything. Scrape the surface. In order to deliver a punch, a penetration, you need to have a single force coming out in one volley, one shot into this thing. The same thing is you're going to break a board. Let's say when you do martial arts. So let's say you go to Home Depot, you buy your 3/4 of an inch, if you're good, but usually they take half an inch, board. They cut it for you a certain size, and they go, ha! You break it, you feel like a man. It was easy, right? Yeah, piece of cake, easy. Good. Now we're going to take 2 boards. You're going to put them together? No, not together. Yeah, you know what? Let's go together. You're going to hold 2 boards together. You're going to go like this. Yeah! And then you're going to break it. Wow, terrific. You're so strong. Now that you see taking two bricks or 2 boards and now breaking them in simultaneously, both hands like this together. Boom! You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. To be able to break 2 boards at the same time, you need to be, Superman. You can't do it. And so it's for us. We need to be concentrated as a single force, and that concentration should be on Kedusha, on holiness. And we should concentrate all our efforts on one single point. That's the point of penetration. Boom! When you punch, in martial arts you punch with those 2 knuckles. These are the 2 sledgehammers you're going to punch with the whole thing, going to break your hand. You can break it. I've seen an old Japanese guy's 84 years old. He broke 7 of them. I just couldn't believe it. I cannot break 7 with a sledgehammer. The guy goes like this, breaks it. The ability to penetrate is determined on the concentration of force on a single dot. And for us, the dot is the purpose. If we all have one single purpose, in other words, when we're going to throw away our selfishness, each and every one to its own, instead of being like sand, we're going to be like a jewel, like a diamond. We all concentrate on the one thing. We're going to be able to do miracles. We're going to be able to do miracles. We will be able to change the world, to make it into a better place. But when you want one thing, and he wants another thing, and I want something else, and he wants something else, we might be davening in the same shul, but we all operating each to its own. We are becoming like sand rather than like a diamond. In other words, we're becoming useless also. And that's something that we need to really, really be in. The Yetzer Hara tells you, listen, the beginning says, don't be like this. Be a little bit, be Jewish, but also be this, and be that, and be this. No. Everything you do like a Jew. Everything you should do like a Jew. There were athletes in Israel that would refuse to go to play on Shabbat, or to win, to play, to do, some competition on Shabbat or on Yom Kippur. And sometimes they would lose their position, but I don't care, that's what it is. But you're going to tell me, no, I'm going to walk to the ball game on Shabbat, and then I'm going to swing the ball, and it's going to be Kiddush Hashem. It's not Kiddush Hashem. That's exactly your excuses that you come up. What you know is wrong is right, and that's how we fail. And the neshama, therefore when you do so, your connection with the truth falls apart. And when your connection with the truth falls apart, your connection with God falls apart. You cannot be a liar and call yourself a man of God. You have to be a truthful person, ish emet. Why? Because as much as we say that the Torah, Am Yisrael, and Kedusha B'richu is one, therefore if we say that Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah and the seal of God is one, which is emet, so therefore Am Yisrael, a Jewish person, has to pursue the truth. You have to be a truthful person. If you're not a truthful person, you are an obstacle. You are a dividing factor rather than a uniting factor. Whether the truth hurts or doesn't hurt, the truth is the truth. I told you what my father, Alav Shalom, said to me. He says, always say the truth. And he said to me, there might be a case that you're going to say the truth, and you're not going to have a lot of people that are going to like you, and most likely people are not going to like you. Well, tell me about it. It became the story of my life, because you say the truth. However, nobody would never say that you don't say the truth. even those who don't like you would admit that you say the truth, because that's all you say. And that is more important than what other people would say about you. The fact that you always say the truth. And this is how we break away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the end. That is called dedication to the truth and to what you know is right. In other words, Yosef told the wife of Potiphar, listen, there are many reasons why I should not sleep with you. But I am not going to sleep with you because I don't do that. There are other reasons, but I don't do that. You know, I'm Shomer Negia, there's COVID now, we have a mask, you know, it could be only kind of reason. But I take it very much. Thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Tremendous compliment. I do thank you for that. However, I don't do it. I don't do it. It's the wrong thing to do. For whatever reason. Even if your reason is a good reason. It is something that I don't do. Period. And start getting used to that. Jews don't do that. Jews don't get drunk. Jews should not come to shul and drink and become drunk. That's what we do. We don't do it. And therefore, when you're going to do so, whether this dedication is not just going to be I'm willing to give my life over to die as a Jew and so on and so forth, but also the spiritual, tremendous spiritual ability to concentrate on one thing, to act for the sake of Am Yisrael, to act upon for the sake of honor of God, to act for the Holy Torah, is what you do. You do for the Torah or you do for yourself. We need to understand that. And we need to do something about it. The war with the Greeks did not end. That culture, the battle that did not end. And it happens every single day. Inside of us and outside of us. And it has to do with all of us. And now even more than ever before. Outside there's a great darkness. And now it's dawn. As they say, Igia Zman Kriyat Shema Shel Shacharit. Rabotenu, it's about time to call upon Kriyat Shema. When we say Kriyat Shema, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Rabotai, in this great darkness, it's about time to act for God. Without being apologetic about it. If you see something wrong is being done, speak up. Nicely. I don't say bad mouth or curse or yell. Say, sir, I appreciate your thing. However, what you're doing is wrong. And say it. Don't be afraid. Don't wait for somebody else to do your job. Waiting for somebody else to do your job is escaping the truth, escaping your responsibility, and that also causes separation. They're not going to listen to me. Whether they're going to listen to you or they're not going to listen to you, it ain't relevant. What's relevant is that you're going to voice your concern for that. So let's say you have 20 people. If 20 people come up and say the same thing about one thing, you're going to change it. But if those 20 people are waiting for somebody else to do so, nothing is being done, and therefore the separation grows, the darkness overwhelms us, and we all fall apart. That's how shuls fall apart, institutions fall apart, cities fall apart, nations fall apart. Speak up. And the word shachar comes from the word shachor. Shachor. And you know that at the darkest moment of night, that's right after that comes the beginning of the morning. And I always thought it was a cliche until I used to stay up all night, when I was in the army, in the Air Force, standing up in the desert. I used to love those moments. To stay up there and you really feel darkness in the desert. There's nothing there. In the desert, nobody remembers your name, as they say. It's so dark, and you feel it almost heavy on you. Choshech Mitzrayim. And then all of a sudden you see it. That the black is not that black, and you know the dawn is coming. Morning has broken like the first morning. and you feel the power of creation, the power of rejuvenation. So don't be afraid of the darkness. Come up to the light. Bring the light. If you can't come up to the light, bring the light to the people. And it's the time to act now. If we're not going to do so, we're not going to get out of it. We're going to go into this black hole and we're going to simply vanish. It's time to act and it's time to do the right thing. And that is the light of Hanukkah. And we have an opportunity because we do dare to put the candles in the street, to show the people that there is hope, that there is something to look for, there is a light coming out. At the darkness, I mean right now again, it's the darkness that is going to get. The days are the shortest now. And in that shortest day, we bring the light to the people, to the outside. We'll give people hope. Not only to do the right thing, not only pursue the truth, but also give people hope, and that's very important. And it's not the hope that we're talking about putting posters of, of ex-presidents like they're some celebrity or something like this. I'm talking about true hope. Being able to connect people with the truth again. We got so used to the sheker, to the lie, that we call the lie the truth. And the truth we call a lie. And that is what we need to do. We need to look inside, each and every one of us, to see which one of us has to do. In other words, we need to find our own piece in this great puzzle that we call our life. And to understand that we all have a job. And that's why each voice is important here. And I always say that I love that the baby song, the Israeli baby song. It says, Banu choshech legaresh. We came to chase out darkness. Beyadenu or va'esh. In our hands there is light and fire. Light to guide the way and fire to exterminate darkness. Kol echad hu or katan. Each and every one of us is a small light. Vekulanu or echad. And we are all together one light. It's a children's song, but it's a tremendous musar about how we should act. Together we could make things happen. And Be'ezrat Hashem, I really hope that during this Chanukah we'll be able not only to light the candles of the menorah and to mechaven all the kavanot in the light, but we also be able to light the light of Torah, the light of the truth, the light of Hashem, that would shine to our neshamot and the neshamot of everybody else in order to do tikkun olam, to fix the world into a better place. I make